Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just finished going over the first half of the NFL Power Rankings list. In this segment, we are going to finish it off. Teams 16 to 1, the top half of the NFL after 2 weeks. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. Or if you are on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. Again, if you have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Go throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Tuesday, September 17th. But like I was saying, we are going to finish up our NFL Power Rankings here. At number 16 on the list, we have the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings all the way up from number 22 last week, up 6 spots to that number 16 hole. They take down the San Francisco 49ers, a huge win for this team. Sam Darnold looks incredible. Not too much more to say. Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are now 2-0 against the Vikings, against the 49ers. The 49ers always seem to struggle against the Vikings. I like this Vikings team a lot. I still don't trust Sam Darnold. I'm a little cautious to move them up, but that was a very, very impressive win from the Vikings. I might be a little too low on them here. At number 15, it's the New York Jets. The Jets scrape by the Tennessee Titans with a win. Aaron Rodgers throws for 2 touchdowns. Braylon Allen, Breece Hall both get involved. Garrett Wilson is not as involved in the offense as I would have thought, but they're winning games. That defense is a little concerning to me, though. They lose Jermaine Johnson for the season. They still don't have much of the pass rush. That run defense is kind of abysmal. It has not been the same kind of Jets defense that we were used to seeing last year. The Jets need to find a way to pick it up, and the Jets need their defense to, they don't need to be the best, but they need to at least be half as good as they were last season if they want to compete in a tight AFC this year. The Jets are my number 15 team. At 14, the Green Bay Packers. And shout out to Malik Willis for getting a win. Shout out to that Green Bay Packers defense for forcing a whole bunch of turnovers, keeping them in this game. Malik Willis did what he needed to do. He didn't put the ball in harm's way that often. Malik Willis is not a quarterback that I want a team to rely on, but the Packers has proved that if you have a strong enough run game, he can do the minimum. He's elusive. He avoided sacks. He did what he needed to do. He didn't make too many negative plays, and that's why the Packers won this game. Once they get Jordan Love back, this is a team that will be dangerous in the NFC. The Packers sit at 14. At 13, it's the Miami Dolphins, and maybe that's a little too high for them after putting Tua on IR. But if you take a look at that game against the Bills, they were moving the ball just as well with Skylar Thompson. I think Skylar Thompson, who has come in and played games for the Dolphins in the past, played a playoff game for the Dolphins in the past, almost beat the Bills in the playoffs. This is a guy that can run this offense solidly enough. This is a guy that can make those quick time throws like they were having Tua do. This is a guy that can still make all the throws you want. He might even have a stronger arm. They also bring in Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley from the Ravens practice squad, made the Pro Bowl one time. Not that that one really counts. It was like the 6th alternate there, but he still made a Pro Bowl. That's on his resume forever. Snoop Huntley is a guy that has, again, started a playoff game, almost won a playoff game, probably should have won a playoff game. I think that ball did cross the line against the Bengals. But this Miami Dolphins quarterback situation isn't as dire as people think it is. I think it's a combination of Skylar Thompson and Snoop Huntley and the offensive weapons they have around them can still be a great team in the AFC. At number 12, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and that offensive engine just goes, putting up over 30 points yet again, absolutely destroying the Rams. a team that they have famously struggled against. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 for 130 and 2 touchdowns in just the first quarter. It's a little concerning he didn't touch the ball after that, but still, they get the job done. The Arizona Cardinals look like a dangerous offensive machine. It comes against a completely dinged up Los Angeles Rams team, but there's a lot of good. There's a lot of stuff to look at from the Cardinals team and say, hey, that defense played better than last week. They were able to shut down the Rams on many occasions. Matthew Stafford is still a good quarterback, even if he's got no one to throw it to. I was very impressed by the Cardinals. They're all the way up to number 12, up 5 spots from last week. At number 11, the Dallas Cowboys. They get demolished. Give up 44 points to the New Orleans Saints, a team that has been very, very surprising this year, especially offensively. But that Cowboys defense just got exposed. They should be able to stop a team like the Saints. They should be able to stop most teams with their defense. The Saints got them on motions. They got them on chips on Micah Parsons. The Saints the Cowboys weren't able to get pressure on Derek Carr, and Derek Carr had all the time he needed in the pocket. They were able to run the ball all through the Cowboys, which was a little bit of an issue for the Cowboys in week 1 against the Browns. Wasn't a big enough issue to really bring up, but the Cowboys defense, if they're going to play like this Cowboys offense, when you can just target CeeDee Lamb, there's no one else really for them to get. Zeke Elliott isn't big enough of a threat coming out of the backfield. Neither is Dalvin Cook. Neither is Rico Dowdle. These running backs aren't going to scare you. They're going to be able to play that too high all the time, not worry about the run game. This is not a good situation for the Cowboys to be in. I think people overreacted to that win last week over the Browns. Getting into the top 10, we have an 0-2 team, the Baltimore Ravens. And you can come at me all you like. But if you look at the teams that are behind them, the Ravens are flat out a better team than the Cowboys. They need to start to get back to running the ball. But that offensive line, while it is concerning, it is getting better. They went up against 2 of the best pass rushers in the league in the first 2 weeks of the season. That is great experience for these young offensive linemen. They got better against the Raiders. Against the Raiders. They weren't the best, but they got better. Lamar Jackson is still a great quarterback. We got to see more on the ground from Derrick Henry, and he was effective. Feed him more. John Harbaugh needs to learn from his brother. We talked about it yesterday. If the Baltimore Ravens turn into a pure run-the-ball team, I think they can dominate just about anybody. They also blew a lead there. It's kind of unacceptable. But at number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. Another 0-2 team, but they just put up a huge fight against the Kansas City Chiefs. Only losing by 1 point. You can blame the refs all you want. It was pass interference. They lost that game fair and square, but they put up a big fight without one of their best weapons at receiver. Joe Burrow looked much better than he did in week 1. They always start slow, but usually it takes a couple of weeks. If they can play like that against just about any other team, they're going to win. The tight ends got involved. I love getting all 3 tight ends involved in the offense. Iosivas got 2 touchdowns in that game, right? He's going to be a nice slot receiver, a nice red zone option. Joe Burrow looked comfortable against the Chiefs. This is what we want to see. That defense stepped up a couple times, got a couple interceptions off Mahomes. Not something he's usually prone to doing. The Bengals team looked really good. They're up 1 spot to number 9. At number 8, the Philadelphia Eagles. They stay put where they were last week. They blow a lead. That 2-minute defense was disgusting. It was deplorable. It was awful. All of those words. But they played a really good game otherwise. The run game was going. Saquon is going to be a problem on this team. Jalen Hurts with his legs, his arms. They didn't have A.J. Brown, and yet they were still able to move the ball effectively up and down the field. I was very impressed by this team. They just blew it at the end. I'm not going to punish them too harshly for that. At number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of crazy the Bucs are up this high, but Baker Mayfield has been playing like one of the best quarterbacks in all of football right now. Baker Mayfield has been winning football games. That offense, that defense really stepped up against a tough Lions team. They gave up over 300 yards passing, but it wasn't like a good looking 300 yards passing. They were able to hold a really good Lions rushing attack down. Vita Vea is a huge part of that. I really, really like this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. That offense is built to have those big plays when you let them have it, and they're just dinking and dunking their way. This is a good Bucs team. That whole NFC South is going to be a problem. At number 6, the Buffalo Bills. They destroyed the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. That wasn't a story because of Tua, but they destroyed the Dolphins on Monday night and Thursday Night Football. Josh Allen is a real MVP candidate. When you get your running backs involved, which is what we've been waiting for Buffalo to do for all of the Josh Allen era, you see James Cook score 3 touchdowns, take some of the pressure off Josh Allen. He doesn't have to do everything. He's a guy that can do everything, but he doesn't have to. He's not going to be at the bigger risk to get hurt if you have a running back like that. And the wide receiver by committee thing is working for them. They don't need that number 1. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, their tight ends are really stepping up and being those weapons that Josh Allen can find in the passing game. The Bills' defense really stepped up. I was a little concerned about how it would look this season, but Von Miller came back. He's still doing his thing. Losing Matt Milano would usually hurt, but they get a leader back in Von Miller who can step in and run that defense like Milano was doing before. That is why I think they're doing as good as they are. That defense is very impressive to me. The Bills are here at 6. At number 5, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have the best offense in football. Derek Carr has scored on all 15 drives he has touched the ball. All 15 of them. They're 15 for 15 on scoring. They've scored over 30 points in the first half in both of these games. The first one was against the Panthers. This one against the Cowboys. They're up 15 spots to number 5. I was very impressed by the Saints' offense this week. Alvin Kamara scores a whole bunch of touchdowns. This is going to be a very tough Saints team if their offense continues to click like this. They get another tough test against the Eagles this week. They're already in the top 5, though. They're one of the best teams in the whole NFC. At number 4, the Detroit Lions. I know they lose, but this is a very, very good Lions team. The Bucs got a big bump for beating them. It was still a close game. That run game is going to carry them. You still had a bunch of big plays from the Lions. They weren't out of it the whole time. If that offense can get a little more in sync like it was last year, it's going to take a little bit of time. They're still shaking off some rust, but the Lions are a sleeping giant, and you don't want to wake them. The 49ers lose to the Vikings yet again. It's time to hit the panic button. No, it's not. They lost to the Vikings last time. This is a very, very good. They can. Brandon Ayuk just signed a big contract for a reason. They will be okay. Juwan Johnson is a guy I really like. That defense will step up. That defense will get it done. You're not going to go up against Justin Jefferson every single day. It's a very good San Francisco 49ers team. It's a very good Vikings team. The Niners sit at 3. At number 2, the Houston Texans. Up 3 spots from number 5 last week. I am so impressed by this Texans team. We all know CJ Stroud is going to be great. We all know they brought in new weapons. Joe Mixon looks awesome against a very good Bears defense. CJ Stroud does not make mistakes. That is the biggest thing. Nico Collins is a beast. He's a monster. We were trying to figure out what the wide receiver split would look like now that they added Stephon Diggs. Just Nico Collins. Nico Collins is number 1. He is a huge physical receiver, and he is just going to out-physical all of these corners. The Bears have very physical corners, too. This is not an easy team to out-physical. That Bears defense put up a valiant effort. The Texans are just too good on offense, though. They're up to number 2. And at number 1, to the shock of all, surprise of all, the Kansas City Chiefs sit at the top. The Kansas City Chiefs, yet again, win another nail-biter of a game. Their defense steps up, scoring a fumble 6. Not something we see too often. Strip sack leading to a fumble returned for a touchdown. The Chiefs got a little bit of help from the refs, but it wasn't anything drastic. It was a real pass interference. That's just how it goes. The Chiefs are a very good team. When they get calls like that, it's going to be more blatant, more obvious because They're a very good team. Sorry to break it to you guys, but the Chiefs are very good at football. The Chiefs are the number one team in the NFL until someone finds a way to slow them down, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. They just faced two of their toughest tests of the entire season in the Ravens and the Bengals, and they were able to get by both of them, albeit by a toe, by a hair, but they were still able to get by both of them. They are actively, on my opinion, on 17-0 watch. Keep an eye out for that. This is going to be a tough Chiefs team to take down. But let me know what you thought of these power rankings. Any team I had way too low, any team I had way too high, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to transition to the other list we have prepared, the NCAA Top 25. So stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.